Let's do this. Welcome to part two. If you are wondering why I'm so enthusiastic right now, it's time. Stop it! It is time for the TNA report. And once again, we are not reporting on today's TNA because if you watched last week's episode, you know that we played Jeopardy. It was Robby versus our guest HBW. HBW was representing me. The loser had to watch Victory Road 2009, one of
Mm,
the worst wrestling pay-per-views of all time.
yeah.
Um, it got down to the last question, and Robby got it right.
Yeah.
So I had to watch my least favorite pay-per-view of all time. So it is time to talk about that pay-per-view in excruciating detail. No,
Let's go.
so Victory Road 2009. The first thing I wrote down was I don't want to do this,
Good start.
and then I wrote down this promo package belongs on a much better pay-per-view because it was actually a really good promo package.
Yeah.
And then we get to the matches. Spoiler alert: my best match got 2.5 stars.
Yikes.
My best match got 2.5 points on the show. But before we get to that one, we have to get through Angelina Love versus Tara for the Knockouts title. This was a very, very slow match.
Mhm.
And if there's one thing about all these matches on the show, they were boring. There was nothing on the show. There was a botched interference slash ref screw up spot that was very predictable.
Mm,
Basically, what happened was Love had Tara like locked up. Velvet Sky was about to use the hairspray. Um, she hits Love, and I don't remember what the ref screw up spot was, but it was bad. And then the screwy finish involved an unseen rope break from the ref, who claims that he was not in position later in an interview when he was clearly in position.
mm.
He was clearly in position for the rope break,
Yikes.
and they didn't see it. So Angelina Love wins. Um, yeah, this got a 1. 1 out of 5 from me. It's probably the worst pay-per-view opener I've ever seen. Then we get to the crux of this pay-per-view, which is the main event Mafia. Now, maybe it's the fact that this is the only pay-per-view that I've seen the main event Mafia on,
Mhm.
but I hate the main event Mafia. And here I just wrote they are so clearly an Evolution ripoff with
Right.
almost every guy past their prime.
Mhm.
Speaking of main event Mafia, not an official member, but trying to impress them. Matt Morgan versus Daniels, not Christopher Daniels, just Daniels,
Simply Daniels.
simply Daniels. They immediately go outside of the ring, and instead of counting, the ref goes outside with them. What are you doing?
What are you doing, sir?
Matt Morgan cannot bump or sell. Why was he pushed?
Yeah.
I did say good springboard by Daniels in this match. He had like a springboard Aztec press outside of the ring. It was actually not bad. It's the only good thing about this match. There was a very, very botched elbow drop spot. Basically, what happened was Morgan went for an elbow drop, I believe it was, and Daniels was supposed to roll out of the way, but he rolled the wrong way.
Oh my God. Damn.
Instead of an interference ending, we had an injury ending. I was about to cuss. We had an injury ending as Daniels could not hit the BME because of his leg, which led to Matt Morgan winning. This got a
Mhm.
2. Not as bad as the opener. Dr. Stevie versus Abyss in a no DQ match. this storyline, it's interesting to say the least.
Just a bit.
I mean, it's basically Dr. Stevie just abusing Abyss.
Hmm.
I mean, he used a taser, he kidnapped his girlfriend. Then I just put in a little side note here. Dr. Stevie's theme sucks. I said Abyss coming out here looking like he's ready to go camping. That's just good. 90% of this match is just Stevie just running away from Abyss. Well, that's 90% of what you get in this match. This is a no DQ match, and it's very boring. Like, I was very bored watching this no DQ match. One other thing that bothered me, Dr. Stevie gets his head like bounced off the ring stairs a few times. And they like show a close up in his head, and he is air quotes bleeding.
Mhm.
Because it is very clearly paint. Robby, the blood is not even dripping.
Mhm.
Just smeared in one big line on his forehead.
They really didn't try, did they?
It is very clearly paint. Um, Abyss wins with a very lazy and very bad taser effect.
Mhm.
This also got a 2. Team 3D versus British Invasion. Spoiler alert, this was the best match on the card. And there was still zero chemistry between these two teams.
Mhm.
This was the best match, and there was no chemistry. Um, it was basically all Team 3D. They tried to get a table, even though they would have gotten DQ'd.
Mhm.
Team 3D retained their titles. This got 2.5 stars. And someone did end up going through a table, which was actually kind of fun. Sheikh Abdul Bashir went through a table.
There you go.
Jenna Maraska versus Charmel.
Oh, this should be fun.
I wrote down one word for this, and I will say more than one word about this match because I got some stuff to say about this match. But the one thing I wrote down was why.
Why?
Why did this happen? Um,
Why?
so if y'all have been watching, because I've had to do a lot of classic pay-per-views now, I rarely ever go away from either 1 star to 5 stars. I like to keep it in that range.
Mhm.
This is a 0 star. I do not do negatives, but if I did,
This would be negative.
this would be negative. But it is 0. It is a horrible match. If you could even call it a match.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, neither of these females are wrestlers. Jenna Maraska is not a trained wrestler. Charmel is not a trained wrestler.
Mhm.
They weren't even wrestling. They were slapping each other and they weren't even hitting each other. There was nothing redeemable about this match. Why was it a thing?
That's not cool.
I hate this match with a burning passion. Rescind Queen Charmel's WWE Hall of Fame induction because of this match.
Specifically because of this match.
But we still have 3 match. No, yeah, 3 matches left, folks. Oh no, I'm sorry, 4 matches left. Ah,
Ah! Stop the pain!
Kevin Nash versus AJ Styles. The first thing I wrote here is what is the point of Legends title if they already have the world title and X Division titles? What's the point?
There really is no point.
Then I wrote AJ's pyro in this point in his career would make Cody jealous. This man, they went all out on the budget for him. This was another very boring match with a very past his prime Kevin Nash.
Mhm.
And very past his prime Kevin Nash won.
Because of course he did.
This is something else that annoyed me about this pay-per-view. The referee from the first match that missed the rope break, Slick Johnson,
Mhm.
is shown 3 times on this pay-per-view in 3
Yeah.
different segments. Because he's shown in that match when he messed up. He's shown right after where they interview him and he talks about how he's gonna try and get Tara a rematch. And then he is shown in the women's locker room supposedly making out with Madison Rain.
Ew.
Yeah. Which it was like a 30-second thing. Why did you need that? We'll get to the last 3 matches. Um, the last 2 I did not write a lot about, but I did watch them.
Mhm.
Scott Steiner and Booker T versus Beer Money. This got 1.5 for me. And that point 0.5 is specifically because James Storm came out into the ring on a motorized beer cooler.
Yes, sir. That sounds fun.
That is specifically what bumped this up to a 1.5 for me. Nothing remarkable. This was a very forgettable match, and it had a typical main event mafia screwy finish.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe versus Sting, yet another boring match with
Mm.
a very predictable Taz debut. Taz debuts as Samoa Joe's mentor, but the reason it was predictable because in the promo package you could see FTW. This got a 2. Then the main event, Mick Foley versus Kurt Angle. The first thing I wrote was finally.
Finally.
I also said Kurt looks really skinny in this match. Like he is not looking good in this matchup.
Mm.
Like I think this is peak like steroids Angle.
Probably. That's about the time he was really kind of in a bit of a slump.
Yeah. No, he did
Right.
not look good.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle wins. Everyone from Main Event Mafia won. Um,
Let's go.
which Angle said in the beginning of the show, if you do not win, you're fired. Why did they add that if all of them were gonna win anyway?
Right.
Yeah, no, this is the worst show I've ever seen. this
That makes
gets
sense.
this gets a Z for me.
Z.
An F minus minus. I really hope I win this game, and you really better not. You really should not hope that I win this game,
I can't wait.
because not only for this one, because this one I'll put on myself. You did not give Victory Road 09 to me, but you gave me December to December.
I did. You're welcome.
I'm still not forgiving you for that one.
Hey, if you had to watch it, if I had to watch it, you had to watch it. So you're welcome.
I'm still not forgiving you for that. Oh no, trust me. If you lose, you would have seen this pay-per-view that I'm going to pick for you before.
Oh, fun. Can't wait.
But first, before we get into our segments, we got one show left. It is time
We do.
to talk about SmackDown.
And I will say, this show was a whole heck of a lot better than Victory Road '09. I will tell
Yeah,
you that.
any show was
It,
better
it,
than
it wouldn't have taken much effort, you know. What, yes. The first post SmackDown of the Royal Rumble. And we opened the show with Logan Paul. The best way to open any show.
I'm so
He
glad I
basically
didn't
just
watch the beginning of the show. Keep going.
he basically, was being a typical heel, bashing Alabama because they were in Alabama, and bashing Kevin Owens, his Royal Rumble opponent.
Yeah.
And because he said Kevin Owens' name, that in typical wrestling fashion, when you say a wrestler's name, you summon them from the backstage area to the ring. So Kevin Owens came out to have a bit of a back and forth with Logan Paul. And eventually Austin Theory came out, and that set up the match between Owens and Theory with Logan Paul on commentary.
I would just like to say, I love like the imaginary imagery of someone saying a wrestler's name and them just dropping their plate of catering to go to the ring.
Like, oh, somebody said my name. Let me just like sprint
Like they're
the
just in
gorilla,
catering, getting their food, and someone says their name, and they just drop the plate. And just go.
drop the plane, and just run. That would be hilarious. But yes, Kevin Owens defeated Theory with a stunner. He's got a B plus.
Nothing.
Stunner. Oh, by the way, side note: Corey Graves and Wade Barrett are the new commentary team for SmackDown, and Pat McAfee and Michael Cole are the new commentary team for Raw, and that's very cool.
Another reason why Raw was the best show this week.
Yes, sir. Fatal four-way tag team contenders match. Winner of this match will go on to face a team from Raw that also wins a number one contenders match, and then whoever wins that match will go on to Elimination Chamber to face Judgment Day for the tag titles. LWO versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate versus Legado del Fantasma versus Pretty Deadly. Bate and Dunne got the win with, I believe, Mr. Peter hitting the bitter end on one of Pretty Deadly, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want to
So,
point out the joke that you made yesterday. Ugly, harmless.
ugly harmless. The opposite of Pretty Deadly. Ugly harmless.
And that is, ladies and gentlemen, from now on, that is what I will be calling Pretty Deadly on the show.
Ugly harmless.
They will be known as Ugly Harmless whenever I talk about them.
That's fitting. Bailey makes a WrestleMania decision. Probably the best part of the show, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Oh no, definitely.
Oh, by the way, the last match got a B from Bleacher Report.
Oh.
Bailey, right before this segment happens, Damage Control, Io, Asuka, and Kyrie are backstage, actually talking a bit of trash about Bailey. And when they leave, Bailey conveniently happens to be there in the doorway, listening, looking very upset.
Oh.
You made her cry. No, just kidding.
Oh.
So Bailey comes out with Damage Control and says that she calls Damage Control family and that she wouldn't have gotten as far as she has without them. Sasha. But she teased facing Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 40. But then she turned around and looked at her teammates, Damage Control. And she was basically saying, why they never saw Bailey as like a top guy or girl, I guess. And why they were always talking bad about her. And then she revealed that she can speak Japanese and knew everything that Damage Control was talking about to her.
I didn't know about that part.
Yeah, she spoke a little bit of Japanese, and she's like, "Yeah, you hear that? That was Japanese. I can understand everything you were saying." I was like, "Oh shoot!" Plot
Note to
twist.
self, watch this segment.
But eventually, Bailey was kind of getting closer and closer to EO, and she was like, you've been laughing at me, making fun of me, and then eventually Asuka and Kyrie attack Bailey from behind, and Damage Control beats down Bailey, but then Bailey manages to grab a pipe that was conveniently placed behind these steel steps and beats up Damage Control. Well, except for EO. EO runs away, and Bailey says that she wants EO at WrestleMania. So we will be getting EO Sky versus Bailey for the women's title at WrestleMania. Bailey is a face. Damage Control is dead. And this was a really good segment.
Yeah.
You got
I mean,
an A.
is Damage Control dead? I mean, there's still four of them.
Okay, one person from Damage Control is dead. Bailey has been outed from her own group. Big sad.
I
And
never.
and once, oh
Oh, sorry. I was saying you never told me about the pipe. That's like the best part.
yeah,
He's just
she
conveniently there.
whipped out a pipe from behind the steps and just beat down Io, not Io, Kairi and Asuka. And poor Dakota, nowhere to be found, nowhere on the show, sees her faction just falling apart. That's like the second time this has happened in like the last 3 years, 4 years. First Bobby Fish, now Dakota Kai. Man.
They just said, someone's at home. Let's break up their faction. Let's like
Exactly.
like an elaborate prank on the person.
Right. One person gets injured in the faction, and within the next couple months, the faction's got to split while the person's at home. They're going to come back. It's going to be like that Will Smith meme. They're going to come back and do an empty room. They're just like, where did everybody go?
They, someone gets hurt, and the guys in the creative room are just like, "Hey, watch this."
Yeah, watch it. Exactly. Next up, we have Bob Lau and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't realize this was a match because it never actually turned into a match. It was just an all-out brawl between everybody. And to be fair, it wasn't a very good brawl, although I wasn't really
No.
paying attention. But BFAB came out and helped Lashley and the Profits. So I guess we got a 4-on-4 situation going on.
Situation.
Situation. I'm guessing that'll lead to a match at Elimination Chamber. Lashley, the Street Profits, and BFAB versus the Final Testament. This got a C plus, so it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Mia Yim, whatever the hell she wants to be called, I have no idea. Versus Tiffany Stratton, who was making her debut on SmackDown,
Yeah.
and I guess the main roster. I guess she's with SmackDown going forward, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
This is a pretty good match, a pretty solid debut for Stratton. She's had a lot of good NXT matches. She's a pretty solid wrestler all around. And she definitely did not disappoint in this match, in my opinion. She got the
No.
win, obviously, with the pretty smooth salt ever, which is a really underrated move,
Yeah.
even though it's just the BME, but she jumps off the bottom rope as well.
Yeah.
But it's still really clean the way she hits it. It's so smooth. Although, yeah. And now here we go, the main event, quote unquote. Cody Rhodes makes his decision. Spoiler: he did not make his decision. Roman Reigns came out and basically tried to bury Rollins and the World Heavyweight title because that's what Rollins did to him. So he had to bury him back, saying that the World Heavyweight title is the number 2 title, and everybody that's beaten, or everyone that Rollins has beaten, Roman has already beaten for the Universal title, and that Roman, yeah, he has a light schedule, but even though he's working 10 times less than Rollins, he's making 10 times more, which, I mean, weird flex, but okay. And he was like, Rollins calls the World Heavyweight title the workhorse title, and Rollins is a workhorse. But like 3 months in, Rollins broke his back carrying the company or something. And yeah, Roman was just completely burying this man.
Yeah.
And then eventually, Cody Rhodes comes out and basically tries to run down Roman and says, I don't want to just take the title from you. I want to take your bloodline. I want to take everything you stand for. I'm coming for you, but not at WrestleMania? Question mark? Which I don't get, because literally at the Rumble, after Cody won, he was aggressively pointing at Roman and saying, "I'm coming for you, boy." And then, like, literally, he came out like right after Rollins on Raw was saying that he needs to challenge for the World Heavyweight title, Cody, that is, because the World Heavyweight title is more important since it gets more airtime. Cody was like, "No, screw the World Heavyweight title. I want the only title that matters, the Universal title." Then he says he's not going to face him at Mania
Before
because
you say
somebody
this next
else.
part, before you
Huh?
say this next part, I just want to point out to the viewers this man is a psychic.
I was.
We
I am.
currently have a prediction counter and how many random predictions he gets right. And so far we are at 4. Started again. So yeah, so far we are at 4 different predictions that he's gotten right in a month.
A month. This one, it was such a stupid prediction. It was a joke. Like I was so unserious when I made it. Like right when they were showing the package for, I guess, Cody and making a decision. I was like, watch, The Rock's gonna come out and interfere, and just as a joke. I legitimately did not think it was gonna happen. And then The Rock comes out. And I guess he and Cody shake hands, and then The Rock whispers something to Cody. And to be honest, Cody actually looks really dejected.
I cut off the recording in the middle of your sentence. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. The show closes with The Rock and Roman having a stare down, and Cody just walks off into the sunset, or I guess the clouds. Because let's be real, we thought this was fantastic, but looking back, this actually really sucks.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, since we have time, I'm gonna read this out.
Hmm.
And with that, the year-long journey back to WrestleMania and the undisputed WWE Universal Championship victory that eluded Rhodes in Los Angeles was for naught. Worst of all, how it was all handled here lacked sense, felt unnatural, and did a disservice to the American nightmare. Rhodes stepping aside for Rock felt all too much like the horrendous conclusion of WrestleMania 9, where Bret Hart did the same for Hulk Hogan. It hurt Hart and took him a solid year to claw his way back to the top of the company again. Rhodes already put the work in, earned the fans' respect and admiration, and won the Royal Rumble and set up the return match with Reigns. Why would he allow himself to take up counsel from Rock and simply walk away from his WrestleMania dream because the Great One advised him to? It would be imperative that Rhodes offers up answers Monday night in an attempt to make sense of this conclusion, because that, coupled with the fact that Reigns responded to Seth Rollins' criticisms by cooking him and the World Heavyweight Championship on the mic, suddenly has a prospective showdown between the visionary and Rhodes less appealing. There was no denying the electricity between The Rock and Reigns to end the show, but to book that ahead of a match featuring your top babyface that was a year in the making feels like a long-term creative misfire.
Yeah.
So basically, Triple H, what the heck, dude? And this actually got an A from Bleacher Report, but only for the buzz the segment will generated. From a creative execution perspective, it left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And
So
fun fact, this segment is actually the most disliked YouTube video on WWE's YouTube channel.
already?
It has over 350,000 dislikes.
Already?
Already. That's how upset people are by this.
Oh my God.
And earlier today, I don't know if it still is, but earlier today, We Want Cody was trending #1 on Twitter. I am not joking. People are not happy about this.
Holy crap. We gonna get a Daniel Bryan situation?
I think we're gonna get a Daniel Bryan situation.
I will say, I was thinking about this earlier. The one way they can save this besides going Daniel Bryan, which is looking like what they may do, the one way they can save this, make it a triple threat, and then have Rock help Cody win it. Like
Yeah,
basically have Cody finish a story by pinning Roman and
yeah,
have Rock let him do it.
right. Or I saw something else where Rock makes himself the special guest referee and
Hmm.
helps Cody win the match. Well, either
We
way,
we are seeing a Daniel Bryan situation.
we very well might. That's hilarious.
Okay. So we are going to hop into part 3, where we are going to do top 10. This week's top 10 best finishers of all time.
Mm,
I will say, I think there are a few on my list that you don't have.
probably.
So we'll see what happens. I will say, and this was not intentional, there are no women's finishers on my list.
To be honest, there's none of mine either.
This was not
So.
intentional. All right, so we will see y'all in part 3.